Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So unfortunately, in today's video, we have some possible bad news as Social Security payment cuts could possibly be on the horizon and possibly sooner than we think. So we're going to be covering that. Plus the bill that just passed the House the other day that would expand the child tax credit payments to the lowest of income families all the way up to $2,000. Even though that passed by a wide bipartisan majority in the House, it looks like it may actually face some hurdles and some troubles now that it's reached the Senate and may actually not end up passing. So we'll be covering that as well. But before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Also, if you would like to receive up to $9,000 in free stocks or $9,000 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Webull. All you have to do is once you click on that link, it's just to open up a free account and then deposit at least 1 penny. At that point, Webull will be sending you at least 3 free stocks worth, once again, all the way up to $9,000. Okay, so diving right into our lead story of today's video, and that is the Social Security Board now has a new nominee. And basically what people on the Social Security Board do is they make recommendations of what should happen to the Social Security program as far as taxation and other policies go. They make these suggestions to the president, Congress, and everyone like that. So even though they're not there to actually set laws, and they can't push laws or anything like that, or cut the full retirement age or cut benefits themselves personally, what they can do is they can make certain recommendations to whoever the president is at that point in time, Congress, and those people who actually can end up passing laws and making them, kind of set in stone. So we have one U.S. Senator here in Sherrod Brown that on her website, she's saying that the new nominee is saying that he is actually open to cutting Social Security following her own questions. So today, the Social Security Advisory Board nominee Andrew Biggs made clear that he is open to cutting Social Security in response to U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown's questioning at the Senate Finance Committee hearing. Brown has long fought to protect Social Security from the attacks that Biggs helped orchestrate as part of the Bush administration. During the hearing, Brown pressed Biggs on his previous role in efforts to privatize Social Security and asked whether he thinks the retirement age should be raised. And in response, he said that Congress should keep all options on the table, again confirming that he is open to privatizing Social Security and raising the retirement age, effectively cutting the program, as he acknowledged in his proposal to privatize Social Security in 2005. Now, she goes on to say that Congress created the Social Security Advisory Board in 1994. The SSAB advises the President, the Congress, and the Social Security Commissioner on Social Security and Supplemental Security Income policy, including advice about enhancing individuals' economic security, maintaining Social Security solvency, and improving service to the public. Now, the second one there, maintaining Social Security solvency. This is going to be an absolutely huge thing, because we have a pretty big event coming up in just about 8 to 10 years, where right now we have numerous people, numerous experts, including the Social Security trustees, saying that if nothing is done by, let's say, like 2032, 2033, or possibly, a best case scenario, 2034, if nothing is done about the trust fund to either bring more money into it or ensure that less money leaves it, which means less people receiving benefits or people receiving fewer benefits, at that point, they will be going insolvent, which means that for everyone receiving benefits now, you are going to receive a cut of anywhere between 20 to 25%. So of course we have this, Social Security Advisory Board that was created, and we have this new nominee that's going to be on it, and he's open to all these different suggestions, which I guess could be a good thing, because we want everything to be open. We definitely need to have an open dialogue. But again, he has a history of privatizing Social Security and perhaps even raising the full retirement age, which is going to be mostly for younger people. But of course, that is, definitely a bigger possibility of cuts if we have this person suggesting to Congress and suggesting to the president these different ideas that he has. But meanwhile, of course, yesterday, as I discussed earlier on in today's video, and as I discussed actually yesterday, a bill passed the House. It was like a tax bill. And in this tax bill, It helped corporations with certain deductions involving research and development. But in addition to that, Democrats got what they wanted as well. What Democrats wanted is they wanted to expand the child tax credit for the lowest of income families, because right now for the most of the middle class and the upper class, they're receiving the full amount, the $2,000 per child for the child tax credit payments. However, the lowest income of families are not able to receive the full $2,000 because they do not earn enough income to pay enough in taxes to make the full $2,000 deductible. But in this bill, it would make it so the lowest of income families could actually earn all the way up to the $2,000 in tax credits and make it refundable. And that actually ended up passing the House. Not only did Democrats vote for it, but Republicans voted for it as well. Both kind of had, their own reasons for voting for it. Republicans mostly for the tax cuts for the corporations, and Democrats mostly for the increased child tax credit payments. But now that it's in the Senate, even though it passed by a wide bipartisan support in the House, we actually have some Republicans in the Senate pushing back against it. And in the Senate, they are going to need at least 9 Republicans to vote in favor of the bill for it to pass. And right now, we actually have different higher ranked Republicans such as Mitch McConnell and John Thune saying, you know what, we probably don't have the votes that we need, the 60 votes that we need to pass this bill, because we don't really quite frankly like it. And here's actually Chip Roy in the House discussing yesterday why exactly he does not like this bill. Watch.
I do rise in opposition to this legislation, and I do so reluctantly because I know of the significant amount of work by my friend from Missouri, by those frankly on both sides of the aisle to reach agreement, my friends on Ways and Means, important provisions in this legislation that are critical for job growth, for economic growth, critical for the well-being of our country. Numerous businesses I know in Texas and around this country that understand the importance of the expensing provisions, the interest provisions, research and development. But unfortunately, as happens in this town, this legislation comes with provisions that, frankly, the people I represent are tired of. And it's provisions that would continue to expand the welfare state, as the Wall Street Journal editorialized about, by expanding the child tax credit in ways that will continue to fund people directly through refundable credits, which we find to be problematic. And we think undermines the kind of economic activity and incentive to work and incentive to produce value that we think is critically important for economic growth. But importantly, that provision is also available to parents who are here in this country illegally of children born in the United States. We think that's a problem. We think that is not just allowing essentially birthright citizenship anchor babies, but funding it. That's a problem. Now, my colleagues on this side of the aisle will rejoin that that was a product of the 2017 bill that was pushed by and passed by Republicans, including President Trump, to which I say, right, so what? It's still wrong. It's still bad policy. We shouldn't do it. And we should not be perpetuating it now. All through the 11th hour last night, I worked hard trying to find a way to come up with a provision that might be palatable on both sides of the aisle, this side of the aisle, to find a way to say, let's get that provision pulled off so we can move the pieces that will be good for economic growth and prosperity that I think has bipartisan support and clearly support on this side of the aisle. Unfortunately, we have not done that. And I'm getting a lot of correspondence from people that I represent who are sick of the same old game in this town, who are sick of saying we're just going to keep doing the same thing, and we're going to, in this case, again, continue to expand the welfare state, and in this case, do so in a way in which it entices people to be in the United States illegally, benefit from being here illegally, and do so at a time when we have a heightened level of illegal traffic into the United States, 300,000 people crossing the border in December, millions who have crossed under this president, and we're now in the middle of that crisis going to continue to fuel the fire. I think that is a mistake. I think it is a mistake for the country. I think it is a mistake on policy, and I think it is a mistake politically. I reserve.
So Chip Roy does not like it, but it already passed through his chamber in the House. Now we're going to go over why it may not pass in the Senate, and much for the same reason. So according to The Hill, a bipartisan tax relief bill that passed with an overwhelming majority in the House is headed for a buzzsaw in the Senate, where Republicans are threatening to block it. Senate Republicans are angry that they were cut out of negotiations between Senate Finance Committee Chair Ron Wyden and House Ways and Means Committee Chair Jason Smith. They say the bill would make the child tax credit available to tens of thousands of migrants who are being paroled into the country by the Biden administration. They argued that most of the benefits delivered through the expanded child tax credit would flow out in the form of cash welfare instead of tax relief for working families, undermining the welfare reforms enacted in the mid-90s. And they say it could add nearly $400 billion to the federal deficit over the next decade. Thune also said the bill should go through the Finance Committee, or there should be an open amendment process on the floor to allow Republicans a chance to change the bill. He said the legislation won't get the 60 votes it needs to advance on the floor if Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer blocks Republicans from a chance to offer and vote on amendments to the bill. So basically, Republicans want to have the chance to vote on certain amendments to the bill to change it up or perhaps even add things to it. And if not, we have these top-ranking member Republicans saying that no Republican is going to vote in favor of the bill, and therefore they are not going to get the 60 votes that they would need to pass this bill to Joe Biden's desk to be signed into law. So we'll definitely have to keep our eyes and ears peeled for this, but that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like, consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.